Hi guys, I'm Josh Nelson from Nelson Elder Care Law, and I appreciate you tuning in with us today. We are honored to have Christian Kuswita from Comfort Care to be able to join us and tell us about an amazing new project that he's working on. Whenever we start talking about the community and what the needs to really help not only our seniors, but the caring children for those seniors,
Mhm.
Christian has some amazing things coming down the pipeline that we're going to talk about today. Stay tuned for this whole episode so that you can get all the information you need to know on how to be an adult child caring for your aging parent. Thank you for being with us, Christian.
Thank you for inviting me here, Josh.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background. We're super excited to have you today.
Yeah, so we own and operate Comfort Care Home Care. We operate in the Cobb and Cherokee area. 11 years ago, my dad passed away because of diabetes and then stroke. And it's not actually the stroke that killed him; it was the isolation that killed him, right? And so from there, when I wanted to make a change in career, we were looking for a company that we can feel proud of, but also help others. We went through this because even though we couldn't save my dad, if we can provide help for other people, we'd love to do that, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the stress relief. You don't
Hmm.
realize like how big of an honor, but also a burden it can be to be a child caregiver.
Yep,
And so
yep,
11 years
yep.
ago, whenever you're going through this, even the industry hadn't matured to the level that it is today.
Right,
Just for the
right.
people out there that aren't super clear about what home care offers, can you give us just a little rundown?
Sure.
What can you do today to help those people make it a little bit more where they can be a child, be a spouse, really preserve that relationship without just being that full time caregiver?
Yeah, so in-home care is we provide non-medical services. So basically helping the older adults when they have a fall, for example, or they have illness. We provide those personal care, so things like helping them with grooming and bathing, showering, but we can also do companionship, right, for that isolation to help them with that. We do transportation, we do light housekeeping, meals prep, and stuff like that. But you're right. I think some people want to care for their loved one, but I think having a home care company help them, they can go back to being that wife. They can go back to being that child, right? Daughter or son, and not have to really worry about, how to care because caregiving is tough, right? And not
Right.
only physically, but mentally. It's very exhausting.
And I think that's where the statistic always comes from that's so
Mhm.
surprising for people is that often the caregiver gets more ill or even
Right,
passes sometimes before what we call the patient.
right,
We don't
right.
take care of ourselves because we feel this obligation to do more for somebody else than
Yeah.
we even do for ourselves.
Yeah, we always put the loved one first, right? We don't really put ourselves in. And so I think the statistic says that 50% of family caregivers go into depression. And I think that's staggering, right? To think about
And
about
those are
what
just the ones
the
that
effect.
admit it. I mean, I think
Yes,
that's
that's very true.
from our experience, it's a change in relationship with somebody that you care so deeply about, whether that be your mom, your dad, sometimes even a sibling, but especially whenever it's a spouse. You've been with somebody for 30, 40, 50, sometimes even 60 or more
Hmm.
years. And especially if there's like some cognitive impairment
Hmm.
involved, or like you say, even after a fall or a stroke or a severe diagnosis, not knowing where to turn to. And that's why I'm so excited about the project that you have coming
Yep.
up, is because I think whenever we first find out these things, or even if we've been in this role as a caregiver for a while, and we're just stuck in that day to day, we don't know what kind of benefits are out there. We don't know what kind of options are out there.
Hmm.
Even
Hmm.
something like home care, where maybe you can give a little bit more help to your dad because you're not wanting to be the one that showers him. Let him get some of his
Right.
pride back without
Right.
you having to be the one that steps up there.
Yep.
Knowing what that costs, how you intertwine it with benefits, just how you get it scheduled, and even sometimes how do you interview for the right companies to do these
Hmm.
things. And it sounds like those are all things plus a lot more that you're doing with your new project. So,
Yes. So the new project, so this is a 501(c) called ACAP, stands for Adult Children of Aging Parents. Now, even though it's adult children, it can also be for spouses, right?
oh,
So
cool.
for anybody who's caring for their loved one, this is for them. Um, a lot of the times, and you know this, very well too, is when somebody needs information is during a crisis, right?
Mm,
A fall, an illness, right? Diagnosis of dementia, for example. And when that happens, because people are so wanting the information, it's hard to find a single repository of information, a community or support group, right? So ACAP provides that. So ACAP is a 501c with proprietary curriculums, and we meet once a month. And the goal of ACAP is to provide that free, non-biased community to get help. And every single month that people come, we'll have different topics for them, right? For example, we're gonna be opening this ACAP for the Cobb and Cherokee counties in February 15th, and the topic will be finding resources in the senior services in the two counties.
Yeah.
So we'll have Cobb County Senior Services talk, and we also have the Cherokee County Senior Services that we'll be talking.
But I think one of the big things to like even focus in on that is first, it's a way to get unbiased information, right? So it is a nonprofit organization. It's not going to be one of those hidden sales pitches where
Right.
you come to a topic that you feel is interesting to you, and then somebody's trying to close you for a sale at the end of it, right?
That's right. Mhm.
It really sounds like something for people to come in and get the help they need.
Absolutely, and I think there's a few takeaways I think in this type in this opportunity. Number one is if you are an adult children or a spouse, right? Um, share this information with your friends, your families that you think believe need the information, but come support us too. So if you have a loved one and you're caring for a loved one, don't wait until something happens, right? Plan now, go now, and learn. And then the other thing too is if you are a vendor and you are serving the older adults, right? Share this also, and you can sponsor because we are funded 100% from sponsorship because we are free to free community to everybody.
Yeah, I think one of the big things there too is that you're open to vendors.
Yes.
Because even for us, we're one of the experts in elder law, Medicaid benefits,
Mhm.
qualifications like that. And we still go out and educate a lot of other vendors
Correct.
because that's how you spread your message. Rather than doing the one to one kind of coaching,
Yeah.
whenever we can switch over to one education, it's helpful, but one to many really
Yes.
expands our grasp.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like this is one of the big pushes for you is there really are a lot of cool programs out there. There's a lot of resources that are available. Even if they aren't 100% free, there's some like tips and tricks to get them at a more modest cost. And I think that's where you're going to provide so much value for these families.
Right.
It's just the education of what do we do? And so just before we started, we were talking a little bit about some of the resources that you're going to provide. It
Mhm.
sounds like we have a great first meeting with both senior services for Cobb and Cherokee.
Yep.
Kind of when is it occurring? How do people get signed up? What's next?
Yeah, so you can go to acapcommunity.org to learn more about it. So our first meeting will start February 15th. So it's going to be the every third Thursday of the month, 6:30 to 8 o'clock. So 6:30 p.m. to 8 o'clock. We will have this in Covenant Presbyterian Church in Marietta. It's really off in the intersection of Piedmont and Canton Road. So we're gonna have that and light refreshments gonna be available. And I think the other thing is you'll find a lot of resources in there too, right? That's why we want to have this as a community so that they can find the answers they need.
Well, and just if you've never been there, we call it Piedmont, but it's really kind of at the end of Barrett Parkway.
Correct.
One of the really cool things about this church is there is plenty of parking,
Yes.
easy access. You're not going up and down stairs or crazy stuff like that. You can park right next to the door. So even if you're older, you have mobility issues,
Yep.
it's really a great location to be able to come and get these free resources, learn more about what's available in our community specific to Cobb and Cherokee. So you're not finding stuff where you got to go all the way to Atlanta and all that.
That's right.
Really sounds like a cool program. What else should we know that we haven't talked about yet?
Well, I think the topics there's a lot of variety of topics that ACAP will present, right? And so the meeting is face to face, but we're going to record it. So I know that some people may not be available, or maybe they have a engagement, or maybe their kids, right? They have event for their kids. We're going to record it and make that available on the website. But the community coming in, I think it's great because there's gonna be a lot of time for them to talk. Because I think listening to experts talk about a specific topics like dementia, falls, right, is great. But I think the other thing that is valuable is the community engagement between that because there's so much thing that you can learn. There's best practices from other family members that have gone through the same thing and they probably did something that is different but it worked, right? And
Yeah.
so that's the thing that I think I really encourage people to come. But if not, we will have that recorded session as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge value add. Sounds like it's a little bit more than just networking,
Right.
but not quite all the drama that a support group can cause,
Correct.
right? So it's
Correct.
really let's take some of those negativities that can happen with support groups, turn it into a positive, make sure that we're meeting other people. Maybe they're talking you through something that worked for them. Maybe it's the same thing that the speaker was doing,
Mm,
but through a different lens. So we just
exactly.
hear it better.
Yes.
So it sounds really exciting to me. And again, that's the third Thursday,
Of every month, right?
and it's
Six
going to be
thirty, 6:30 to 8 o'clock.
perfect. And is it a newsletter? Is it just the website? How does somebody get signed up for this? Because you don't start till the 15th. If somebody
Yes.
sees this right now, where do they go?
So if you go to acapcommunity.org and then look at the chapter and find Georgia, find Cobb and Cherokee, there is two things you can do. There is a newsletter area that you can sign up, and then we will send you newsletters on the upcoming events. And they also include two of the next 2 months of events where you can
Okay.
go in and sign up for that event, right? And so we'd like for you to RSVP because we want to know, the number of people that will come so we can set up the tables, we can have the right amount of refreshment. So we would love for that. But again, if you don't have time, let's say that you are, 6 o'clock, you don't think you can make it, and you can make it, just come. It doesn't really matter, but we'd like people to RSVP. And then, of course, our social media, your social media, we're going to have a lot of that information too coming out. We do have like a PDF that has all of the topics for the next 11 months.
Oh,
So
wow.
we can actually have that, in our social media so you can see it. Because it's always good to plan ahead too, right? Because I know that, the topics are very, a lot of different topics. But let's say that you're concerned about a few things, then you can put that in your calendars and start signing up. So we will have that in all of our social medias as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. It was an absolute honor to hear about Christian and what
Thank
he's
you.
got going on in the future here. I think that this is really going to be an amazing resource for both Cobb and Cherokee County, helping unite some of the benefits, some of the resources that are more sporadic, helping educate the community about where do we go next whenever we do get something where we're a caregiver for a spouse, even, but especially for a parent. Thanks so much, Christian.
Thank you so much for the time, Josh.